Knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. Knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. Hello and good evening. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Ooh, ooh, ah. Let the monkeys out. Show them fools what it's all about. Holla out, y'all. Say, ooh, ooh, ah. To what do we owe the pleasure? I don't know. Right as you're getting a Baconator? Oh, man. How am I? I'm doing good. I'm all right, you know. It's been a busy couple weeks. A lot of shit. But I'm doing okay. Looking forward to a little break for the holidays. What about all of you? I hope you are doing well. Excuse me. Rare to catch ideology these days. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I suppose so. Just getting home from your union job. Nice. A really interesting conversation with John Philax. I don't know who that is, but cool. We got to spread some anti-Israeli agitprop. Nice. Nice. Give us all holiday praise. Oh, yeah. You know, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. You know how they say. Yo, 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 yo. Dude who's gone viral a few times for being super anti-cop auditor guy. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, this picture that I use is actually kind of disturbing, honestly. Like there's the beard is like an eldritch horror. It's like if you really look at it, it's like one of those fractals or something. Like the AI doesn't really know how to make individual strands of hair, and so it just kind of puts a nest. And then like you can tell like it also doesn't know how to do like the dividing line between hair and bare skin. And so it's just like it looks like my skin is turning into the hair instead of sprouting it, which is very, very disturbing. There's smoke coming out of your beard. I mean, you could say that like maybe that's just like wisping off of the cigarette, right? And it just kind of wisped in my direction. So that's forgivable. But yeah, the hairs are very strange. It's a very strange machine interpretation of what a human being looks like. Strikes me that auditors, sovereign citizens fall into two camps: stoner hippies and far right pedophiles. Really? Yeah, I'm not too like up to date on the sovereign citizen / auditor game. I'm not really into it. There's one police auditor video that I love because dude, I don't know, he must have been white. I mean, I can guarantee you he was white because a black dude would have gotten fucking tackled or something. But he just basically he went to the police station and was standing around in the parking lot just filming. And some police detective comes out and asks him what he's doing. And the dude decides like, I'm gonna talk to this dude like cops talk to us. And so the detective is like, hey man, what are you doing out here? He's like, I'm the one asking questions here. Who the fuck are you? What's your name? You know what I mean? Just like you could tell, like it completely broke the fucking cop's brain. You were speaking about not wanting to get glasses. What if you got prescription sunglasses? I mean, yeah, I know those exist. I don't know. I definitely need them. Like it's really noticeable now that like I'm having trouble reading things that I used to not have trouble reading. So I saw that one, but I forget the creator. Yeah, I wouldn't even know what to search. Let's see. Let's see. That works. Yeah. Yeah, I found it. I just searched guy talks to the cops like a cop. That was the search that brought it up. The internet is a wonderful place now. Dude, for the longest time on the internet, even if you were trying to find something like this, you'd never find it, dude. The algorithm or whatever, the search algorithm was just not good enough. Now, here comes my favorite part. By the way, trying to figure out what's on and what's off. I think this will work. All right. Let's see. All right. Can you guys hear this? Can you guys hear that? Audio or no? I wish I didn't have to answer or ask you guys that. But no audio. Fuck. This shit is so stupid. I really fucking hate the way that this has gone down. Okay, let's try this. Can we hear this? Are you with somebody in particular? Voice active for us? Yeah. Still no. Okay. So now we know. There's only one other way we can do it. And it's this way. If this doesn't work, I don't even know.
Are you with somebody in particular? Or
just me.
Watching you take pictures of my parking lot.
How about that? Now you guys can hear it. Okay. Fair enough. We got it. Third time's a charm. You know what they say. You know what they say. All right. Let's just enjoy this video because this is one of my favorite videos on the internet for sure.
Are you with somebody in particular? Or
just me.
Watching you take pictures of my parking lot. What's this about?
Is that a problem?
Yeah, this is a police law enforcement parking lot. That is a problem.
Oh. Who are you?
I'm Detective Mike Jardine.
Oh, yeah? What are you working on? What are you working on right now?
Several cases.
Okay.
What is this about?
Are you working on something right now?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
All right, what are you working on? What are you working on?
It doesn't matter what I'm working on. I'm asking you, what are you doing here taking pictures?
Where have you been today? Have you been here all day, or have you been out and about a little bit?
What is this about? Who are you?
I'm asking.
The look on this dude's face. He is so used to being the gorilla dick in the room. And when he has his own tactics thrown back in his face, he just doesn't, he can't even process it. Like The dude literally cannot even fucking process what's happening to him right now. He just, up until this moment, the world was his oyster. You know, he was Billy Big Dick everywhere he went. Oh yeah, the military guy haircut and the whole fucking nine, dude. This guy just has no fucking clue what to do with this situation.
Asking the questions. Where have you been today?
No,
Have you been here?
I'm asking the questions. You're on this property. You're on this property, so you need to answer my questions.
Are you drunk? Why are you slurring your words today? So have you been here all day, or have you been out? Have you been to the bar today at all?
Who are you?
Have you been to the bar?
Got him. Oh, got him so good. I wonder if he's ever watched this video. I guarantee you he has. This video is it's huge. Like, this video went viral, so I can almost guarantee you. And he puts the name, and like his name is in it. There's no way. Yeah, this has 9 million views. He saw this for sure. The whole fucking police department saw this.
Today.
Who are you?
I'm an investigator.
Investigator for who?
Investigative journalist. I investigate corrupt officials. So I'm wondering, where have you been today? Have you been here all day, or have you been out at the bar at all?
Working on a fraud case. That's
Okay.
where I've been.
Okay. Have you been to the bar at all today?
No.
Okay. You got any drugs on you? Have you used any drugs today?
What a ridiculous question.
That's not a ridiculous question. Do you know where he's been today?
I don't. I don't keep tabs on him.
Okay.
Out and about.
Do you know what time his shift started?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. Does he usually drink on the job, or no?
No.
Not that anybody knows of for sure. Have you guys ever?
You got to see how this ends, dude. It just never stops. He dog walks. I mean, whatever. I'll let you just see it.
Ever breathalyzed him?
He dog walks him back into the fucking building. He like chases him out of the parking lot, basically.
While he's been on the job? Would you submit to a breathalyzer for me right now?
You're ridiculous. You know that?
Hey.
You got about 5 minutes to get out of here right now.
Or what?
You got about 5 minutes to get out of here right now. Or what?
Or what? You're on
My
law
property.
enforcement. This isn't your
Yeah, it
property.
is. Shut the hell up. Get out of here now.
What'd you say?
I said shut up and get out
No,
of here.
you get out of here now.
Hey, you better get it. You better get your boy. Get your butt back in your office
You
and do
shut
your
up.
job.
You shut up and get
You
out
get
of
your
here.
butt back in your office and do your job.
No. No.
You quit drinking on the job. You understand me?
Whatever.
You punk ass. You get your ass back in there. You don't look back here again. I'll be watching you. You are now under investigation.
To be clear, it has not been proven that Detective Mike Jardine is or was drinking on the job.
Oh man, gotta be one of the fucking best videos on the internet. Gotta be one of the greatest things. The guy filming is absolutely white. Yeah. This is how you use your white privilege for good. You know what I mean? Oh man, that's fantastic. That is fucking fantastic for sure. I love cop auditors. Yeah, me too. Me as well. The balls on that guy. Yeah. I mean, it's just a dude that knows like the limits and knows how far he can push them. You know what I mean? Like, if that cop had done anything to him, it would have been a fucking open and shut case against the cop. Like, there's no ordinance that says you can't stand in the fucking parking lot and film a public building. Like there's no there's no, no standing for the cop to do a fucking goddamn thing about it. And just like how, like, I wonder if this dude is affiliated with, or used to be, Like I wonder if that dude, the dude filming, was at one point like a cop, because he knows the like tone of voice and the kind of like impertinent, impetuous way of like. Oh man, that is one of the more satisfying videos that you can find on the internet, though, for sure. You're welcome. Most soft sets don't know how they're perceived and lack awareness to avoid pushing too far. I hate it when auditors give the cops ammo. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like a way that you can do it. Like, there's you have to know the line that you can push, and you have to be willing to get fucking stomped too. I have not finished Snow Crash yet, but I'll talk about it when I'm done. I do know that I'm enjoying it. I can tell you that much. I think it's cool, but I have not finished. Some cops do grow conscious. Yeah, I mean, like one of the talking points that I've always used is that there's no such thing as a good cop, and there are definitely such thing as a lesser of two evils cop. Like there are cops that are not out there for ego reasons. They're out there to do a job. There are cops that don't overstep the limits of their authority, treat people fairly, make, decisions based on the law and based on circumstance, and not just, railroading everybody. But the problem is that those cops are part of a police department where those sorts of things do go on, and those cops remain silent. So watch Serpico to learn out what happens to good cops. Yeah. No, you're not wrong. You are not wrong. Poser confession. My mom's a CO, and I like to think she's exactly that type of lesser evil presence. Yeah, I mean, I've got COs in my family as well. I've got quite a few law enforcement people in my extended family. And I don't have maybe kind of like the same, I don't know. I don't have the same blind spot when it comes to them. Like I don't think that they're horribly abusive, but I don't think that they're necessarily the good guys in the room either. I mean, I think my relatives that work that job are probably, they're probably okay to the prisoners and stuff, but I can guarantee you it's the good old boys club over there. So yeah, I mean, you really have to listen to COs too. They're in an untenable situation. Yo, Paul, do you mind telling me y'all's Deep Fat Fried schedule? No episodes on Monday now or something? Yeah, we do Tuesday and Friday every week, and we stream them live on the Deep Fat Fried channel. And then they come down and they are put up in full for patrons. And we have a side channel called Onion Nuggets where we do clips and shorts and stuff from that. But you got to catch them live Tuesday or Friday. If you're a non-patron. If you're a patron, you can catch them whenever you want. You get the full version. So there you go. That should answer the question. No problem. no. I just did the most tragic, sad thing. I lit the wrong side of a cigarette. Immediate regret. I keep it so dark in here I couldn't tell. I got cocky. It's the worst. Immediate fiberglass in your mouth and lungs. Isn't it great? Just cut off the filter. It's all good. Yeah, got too confident. Yep. Yeah, that's the worst. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Damn, it's a sign, bro. It's a sign. Man, that cop video just got me started off on the right foot, you know. Cannot help but smile from ear to ear. That's too good. You're coughing your ass off right now. If you can do that and type, you got skills. Dude, when I lose it and I'm coughing after a big hit, it's all I can do to fucking stay upright, you know? My mom noticed my no borders, no prison sticker and laughed at the irony, of course. Thank you guys for doing the Bill Maher gauntlet. I wanted it for a long time and you guys delivered. Yeah. It was definitely one of the easier ones for me. I mean, Bill Maher he's a complicated figure in my past, you know? Bill Maher is, when I see the dude, I instantly think of his status as kind of like a counterculture figure in the 90s, especially. You know, Bill Maher kind of represented this kind of hard-nosed left-wing kind of voice that wasn't afraid to get down in the mud and who was vociferous and explicit in his arguments in a way that like mainstream liberals weren't. And so it's hard for me to divest my vision of him from the reality. Paul, you are a genius. Oh, you better stop. You better stop. You're gonna give me a giant head. No, I trust me, I am no genius. I am a pretty average intellect, honestly, if I had to fucking peg myself. I might be a little more gifted in certain areas, a little less in some others, but I'd be willing to bet I represent pretty much the middle of the road. I just dig your perspectives. Well, that's cool. Keep listening. I got nothing but perspectives. You know, I do think that you know, what we're talking about now, like in terms of me being kind of like a representative of the great gray middle, I think that puts me at odds in a lot of ways in my public kind of persona. You know, because really, like, honestly, that is what I am. I was born in a middle class family. I mean, I'm straight up the gut as far as Americans go. born into a middle class, blue collar family that went bankrupt and had to sell everything we owned, divorce. I mean, that puts me right in the middle as well. You know, I've tasted what I would call wealth, certainly in comparison to what two blue collar workers bring home today. And I've tasted pretty heavy poverty. And, you know, that's that. Yeah. I worked my whole life, dropped out of college. You know, I got a couple of years of college under my belt. I've got, you know, about 20 years of stand-up labor under my belt. I used to be a homeowner. I've done that. And now can't afford it. I'm right in the middle. Like, I'm right in the middle of everybody. My story is a story of like a disappearing class of people, the middle class. And I have a very distinct bias towards advocating for the reinvigoration of the middle class. And I think that that puts me at odds with a lot of people. I think that it makes my perspective a little harsher than people like to have their perspective delivered. I think that there is an aura of, an aura of kind of like, I don't know, I'm trying to be as fucking critical of myself as possible. Conceitedness about it. Like I'm very confident in my beliefs. And I don't mind going head to head about it. Like, all of this stuff is very much like learned behavior on my part, you know. This is how I watched my parents deal with their peers. This is how I was taught to be, how I was raised up to be by my parents and extended family, you know. So, and this is one of those things I've been thinking about lately. It's like, is there a way that I could comport myself a little better to make my arguments ring a little truer to younger people? To make it not so immediately, I don't know, immediately like negative to them, because I feel like that the ideas I have aren't really all that wild, but I feel like the perception of them is inherently negative in a lot of spaces. Our parents had it easier. Like, I don't mean to, like, my parents did not have it easy. My parents fucking busted their asses. Both of them are all fucked up from the years of labor that they went through. The years of hard physical labor that they put their bodies through have taken a toll on them in their retirement. Both of them. So it's not like they lived some sort of posh existence, but you know what? There was a fair exchange of compensation for the labor that they doled out. They worked super hard, and they were able to take the fruits of that labor and build a little life for themselves. They were able to be property owners. They were able to raise a little family. So in that way, they do have it better. It's not so much that it was easier, it was that it was possible. Yes, you're right, Zeke. That's exactly it. It was possible for them to own a little home. It was possible for them to buy a piece of land. It was possible for them to have multiple vehicles. It was possible for them to have, recreational vehicles. We had, at one point, we had 2 3-wheelers. When those were legal, those are now illegal in the United States, but we had 2. They're basically quads, but with just one wheel in the front. We had 2 of those. We had a quad. We had a really souped up go-kart that my dad built. Had a Jeep that was all raised and on Monster Mutter tires, so could do like pretty much any kind of 4-wheeling that you could imagine. Had a reasonably sized ranch home on a big piece of land. Had a horse. If I were to describe that to you now, you would probably say, "Oh, so you're a rich kid." And that to me is the saddest fucking thing in the world. The fact that my parents, in exchange for their labor, were able to build a life that they enjoyed and had time to do vacation stuff and had disposable income, even with children, so that they could buy cool things and have fun with it. The fact that that's now pretty much considered the criteria to call yourself a rich person is fucking sad to me. Not thrive, just live. I mean, thrive. Yeah, my little family, like in the 80s, especially in like the mid 80s, 85, 86, dude, we were at the top of our game. We were thriving. As kids, we got to do all kinds of cool extracurricular stuff. My parents had us involved in, I've talked about it before. It's a little weird to talk about, honestly, but I was in this thing called Indian Guides when I was a kid. It was just really like, as problematic as it was, maybe culturally appropriative as it was fucking insane. Like, it was so cool. It was so fun. What's that? I don't even know how to explain it. The problem is I had so much fun in it as a kid. I don't want to say what it was because it immediately hits people the wrong way. You know what I mean? Like, you can go look it up. It's still an organization as far as I know. It's called Indian Guides and Princesses. It used to be like a Boy Scouts kind of offshoot just for boys. But in my generation, they'd allowed girls and whole families, moms, dads, everybody to be involved. But yeah, that's the best way that I can describe it, is that it's kind of like a Boy Scouts thing, but it was heavily based on Native American tradition and history, and kind of like an appropriation of that by white people. It was a bunch of white people who dressed up like Indians sometimes and went to these big events and had headdresses and beads and big drums. And, like there was I remember our tribe, your little group of Indian Guides was separated off into a tribe. And our tribe, the Red-Tailed Hawks, from the Miwok Nation, had the best drum. That was part of what the tribe did, is we would build these big animal skin drums, and then there would be like a competition every year to see who had built the loudest, coolest drum. And ours was the best. We had the best drum for sure. Oh, this whiteness hurts. I know. No, I know. Trust me. It's one of those things. But I will tell you this. As a kid, it was so much fun. And I was so engaged in it and loved doing it. And it was a way to mark the passing of the year. Oh, we got the big Indian Guides thing coming up. They would do this big Like I've told people this. They do this big like camp out thing every year where, you know, people from all of the different tribes and nations get together that are in the area and they all go to a big giant campsite. And, you know, it's like a big festival kind of thing where there's all kinds of competitions, fishing competition and all this stuff, wood carving competition. And no, it was wicked fun. Like it was a lot of fun. And you know, I met a lot of little friends doing it too. So it was a good way to like socialize me as a kid, get me out, you know, meeting new people and confidence building and all that shit. Powwow, yeah. Yeah. A jamboree, kind of, yeah. I mean, like, you know, there would be music and cooking competitions and good food, fishing and just outdoorsy kind of stuff. And it would be just a whole fucking like hundreds of people out in the woods. Pretty much all of them white as the driven snow, wearing war paint. And yeah, no, they used war paint and fucking headdress, like full feather headdresses and big giant bead necklaces and shit. I mean, it was, you know what I mean? It was the full Monty. Madera County is home to many tribes. Yeah. The Blackfoot, the Miwok, the Sioux. It's the Miwok Nation over here. Miwok for life, dude. Miwok for life. So that's why they have Indian casinos. Oh yeah, I mean the area I grew up in has a bunch of Indian casinos. One of the biggest, like, dude, there's this place called Chick-Chansey near where I grew up that is fucking like crazy. It's like somebody plopped down a high-end Vegas casino. Like here's what it's like. It's like they took a giant high-end mega Vegas casino, shrunk it down by about 15%, and then just plopped it in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Eagle Mountain. I don't know. I've heard they've done a lot of renovation and stuff on Eagle Mountain, but Eagle Mountain, you know, back in the day, especially after Chick-Chansey opened, and like I think Chick-Chansey opened in my 20s. Back in the day, it was like Eagle Mountain was kind of like the ghetto one. It was the grimy one that you would go to, you know, like hella old. And Chick-Chansey was the brand new one, you know. That was the fun one. You don't know nothing, Paul. Paul, you don't know nothing. Chick-Chansey. Paul, you do not know nothing. I know. I got to tell you something, Paul. You don't know nothing. Paul, you don't know nothing. You don't know a single thing. I used to work for the Seneca Nation of Indians, best employer I ever had. Yeah, I mean, those are good jobs. I remember anytime, you know, a friend or acquaintance would land a job, you know, at the casino, even if it was a shitty job, just being janitorial or whatever, that was always a good job. It always paid better than the same type of work off the res. You know, so I don't know if that's still the case, but oh my, it's alive, Paul. Paolo. Paolo. Como se dice, Paolo? I like to think most, if not all, casinos have unions. I know it's like that in Vegas. It's definitely like that in Vegas. I honestly don't know the status of laborers at casino, like Indian casinos, particularly the ones I grew up near. I honestly don't know. Rolls off of the tongue. Paolo. Heard you get free food at casinos as an employee, which is dope. Oh yeah, casino food is always good. There's a decent like buffet at Chick Chancy. It's probably not the greatest, but oh hell yeah, you get good ass tips. You know what tips the best? Fucking Parkers, dude. Valet Parker guys. Clean the fucking house up, dude. I had a friend that was a valet parker at Chick Chancy, and that motherfucker had a wad in his pocket always. As a casino employee, I can attest that we do not get free food. Oh, that sucks. At your casino, that sucks. I bet there's some. How are the casinos in Washington State? I don't know. I've never really been to one. I know there's a really famous tribe there, and they have a big casino called Puyallup, I think it is. The Puyallup. But I've never, and Tulalip, I think, is another one. But I'm not sure. I haven't been in them, so I can't really attest. They look nice. I drove by them when I was visiting there. How did it feel to get body bagged by Vosh? I don't know, man. It kind of feels like it felt before I was body bagged by Vosh, you know? There wasn't like this seismic shift in my life or whatever. Dude, can I ask you a question? Are you like a Vosh kid that just like wandered in here? What's that like, dude? Like, what's your life looking like? You just like fucking put it in neutral and coast down the hill into people's chats and like simp Vosh. Destiny smarter. I mean, Destiny is definitely smarter than Vosh, yes. But I honestly think that has a lot to do with Destiny being older than Vosh. I know that's verboten to talk about, but I think that Destiny just has more experience existing in the political space than Vosh does, and I think that lends him a little bit more credibility and makes his arguments a little more cogent. Even if I disagree with them, like I disagree more with Destiny than I do with Vosh in terms of geopolitics and just politics in general. But I think that Destiny is a damn sight better at like presenting his argument than Vosh is. And I honestly think it comes down to just practice. You know, it's one of those things. I know I end up bitching about it a lot on the show, but it's one of those things I'm really fucking struggling with because it's like, you know, if somebody had spent their life playing the cello, you would not say that you are just as good a cello player because you just picked it up. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, like 5 years ago I picked up the cello and I'm just as good as Yo-Yo Ba at the cello, you know? Like nobody would do that. But for some reason, when it comes to being just a normal citizen engaging in politics, people think that you just know nothing. People think that, like, you know, the good, solid fucking 3 decades worth of participation and closely following politics and stuff has just amounted to nothing. Like I've accrued no knowledge. It's like, okay, all right, well, I really don't know what to do with that. Still, age is not a good talking point. Well, I'm not even really talking about age, though. I mean, I think it would be, though. See, if we were arguing about the cello, and on one side was Yo-Yo Ma, who, you know, is 50 years old and had been playing the cello for 30 of those 50 years or whatever. And on the other side is a dude that, you know, 5 years ago started taking cello lessons, and they were arguing about the finer points of cello playing. I don't think that the guy going like, look, I've been doing this 30 years. You pick up things as you go along, you know, that it takes years to kind of learn the muscle memory for, to kind of figure out. I don't think anybody would go like, whatever, you know, like, I don't think they would. But for some reason, when it comes to politics, Paul's famous lived experience take it to a whole new level. Now it's about age. No, it's about experience. It's all, I don't care. Like, age is just a byproduct. Age is just a marking stone to measure experience when I use it in this argument. It's not that you've accrued no knowledge. It's that the knowledge you did accrue isn't consistent or philosophically sound. I mean, okay, well, that's the very least I can do something with that, so I can drill down and say, okay, what's inconsistent about my political philosophy? When you just say like, whatever, fucking, you're a boomer and you're a child or whatever, that doesn't give me anything to fucking, that doesn't give me any meat to like sink my teeth into. But you made a couple of like, you know, reasonably specific, if broad, points there, and I'm willing to drill down into that. I mean, you can have bad experience, you know. I'm not saying that every experience pushes somebody to, you know, the top of the heap or whatever the fuck. Would you put value on the opinion of an old Republican? You still have all the life experience and still come out with the wrong views. See, that's, I don't know. This is one of those things that I don't know how to talk to an online audience about, because this is not how things work online. But I would be willing to bet that if you sat down with like an old Republican, yeah, are you going to disagree with him on a lot of shit? Sure. Is he going to have some shit that he can put you up on game though? Yes. Is he going to have some anecdotes that ring true, given your limited experience and his long experience? Absolutely. You know, this idea that like, you know, I don't know. But I was just raised in a time where, you know, politics wasn't so tribalized. Well, it's very intersectional. How do you stand on your philosophical backing, your morals, epistemology? I got to be honest with you, epistemology is not a word that I use all that often, and I'm not even sure I could properly define it for you. I'm not a philosophy major. Now, I've read philosophy. I tend to like more modern philosophers. I'm widely read. Derek Jensen is a philosopher that I have talked about a bunch of times. Thomas Ligotti is another philosopher whose works that I really, really enjoy. I've read Thus Sprocht. I don't know how much of it I internalized and how much of it I understood properly, not being a student of philosophy, but I have read it. I have dived deeply into Das Kapital. I don't know if I've read the entire thing, not at one go, but I've spent my time reading Das Kapital. the Communist Manifesto. I'm like, it's like I've read some stuff, but I don't really, I don't really comport myself in that way as a philosopher. I mean, I happen to think that everybody is a philosopher, because if everybody isn't a philosopher, then nobody is. Everybody has a life philosophy. Not everybody studies it and studies the life philosophies of others, but everybody's got a philosophy. And when you're philosophizing, you are a philosopher. Das Kapital is very dry, and the Communist Manifesto is very, very dry. But, once again, Nikki, like, I'm waiting for you to hear how I'm incorrect and inconsistent. I'm fine with that. If I am, I want to correct it, but I don't think that on the issues that come up, I am. No super chats? Nah. I haven't monetized this channel, and I don't really plan to in the near future. Like, I may change down the road, but for now, it doesn't matter. You guys already fucking pay me enough. I appreciate this sentiment, but when was the channel renamed? It wasn't. I lost the Ideology channel, which was the Paul's Ego channel before I changed the name of it to Ideology. So I lost the channel that I started in 2006. But yeah, go pop on the Patreon if you want to support. That's always nice. Or you could catch us live on Tuesday or Friday. We go live at 5 PST. You can figure out your own time zone on Tuesday and Friday of every week, and you can drop a super chat then. That'd be nice. I appreciate it, but don't worry about it here. It's hard for me to make critique because your political and epistemological footing is so vague. I'd much prefer to talk with you deeper about the stuff. Pick your brain, no hard feelings. Okay. Whatever. It's just one of those things, though. Like, I prefer your critique because there's at least, you don't have to, we don't have to go through it with you in chat and shit, but I get your drift. But at the very least, I feel like I can sink my teeth into that critique, and it's something that I can talk about and suss out with a person. I can't suss out you're a boomer. I can't suss out you're a child. I can't suss out, oh, Paul worked at Starbucks for 5 years, and so now he knows everything, which is the new thing popping up in chat or comment sections and shit, as far as I can see. And I can't do anything with that. It's an ad hominem in its purest form. It's meant to be a conversation stopper. That's why people should oppose logical fallacy, because oftentimes logical fallacies are employed to be conversation stoppers. They're employed by people that don't want to get into the deeper nitty-gritty nuance of somebody's position. And they would rather leave their position completely unchallenged. And so a fallacy will be employed. They're saying you're a know-it-all. Yeah. They're saying, well, no. They're saying that I'm a guy that thinks that just because I'm old means that I'm smarter than Vosh, which is not what I'm saying. I think there's a good chance that Vosh is more, intelligent than me, certainly when it comes to book smarts and shit. I think there's a pretty good chance of that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's never been my wheelhouse. I've never presented myself as this amazing STEM intellect or whatever, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that intelligence only goes so far in making up for actual experience. Like, you could be a super smart person, but if you go show up on a construction site for the first time, right, you're going to need to be fucking led around and shown how to do every goddamn fucking thing correctly. And the person that does it is probably going to be a person that's older than you and has been doing it many more years than you have, you know? And if they're, you know, that is the crux of a lot of my arguments. A lot of my arguments are based on trends, political trends and pop culture trends, and the interplay between them often that I have observed over my lifetime. And I like to think that I've lived a particularly politically active and aware lifetime. Maybe not so much now, although I do spend a lot of time with my fucking nose in the news. But certainly there was about 20 years of my life where I was absolutely a political wonk. Honestly, use of the I have lived experience feels like another way not to engage. Focus on actually refuting the lesser of two evils argument. Well, that is the problem is, sure, love, and thanks for hanging out, you know, being a Voshite and shit and actually engaging in conversation. That's cool. The argument, a lot of my argument refuting the lesser of two evils is talking about my experience living with that and doing that for the balance of my political life. So I can't extricate my argument from what I have experienced in people following this same thing. Now, one of the arguments that you're going to have to cede is vote blue no matter who, or the lesser of two evils argument. It's known by many names. Riding with Biden or what? This is not new, right? This has been what leftists have done in this country since before I was born. And particularly in my lifetime, I look at what it has bought the American public. It has bought the American public the death of unions, the 3-job standard, the inability for a single income household to even be a thing, the inability to purchase a modest home or oftentimes to even pay rent, the absolute destruction of the environment, the acceleration of everything that they knew was bad for the environment back then, tenfold faster than they thought it was going to happen. So that is my political history with lesser of two evils voting. In just 40 years or so of my being alive and aware, that is what the American people have been charged. That's the bill that we've been given for lesser of two evils voting. I don't think it's working. Did you nail it? I don't know. I didn't read what you said. Let me see. Bosch knows that fruit salad is made out of fruit, and Paul knows that tomato does not go into a fruit salad. I guess. I mean, that seems a little fucking over the top. Like I said, I don't think that making that argument and asking that it be taken at least somewhat into consideration is saying me old, so me smarter than you. It's like this, okay? 9/11 has been on my mind recently. Like, honestly, it's on my mind quite a bit. And I was reminiscing a little bit just to myself, and not in a really negative way, but just remembering what it was like around that time and what it was like before that time. And there is just something ineffable about being an adult and alive and politically active and aware at that time in American history. It's hard to explain. It is like a schism happened. It's like the world flipped on its ear and never really righted itself again. And to live through that, the fear and uncertainty of those days is a visceral experience. And I simply cannot imagine that somebody that was born 10 years after 9/11 or 5 years after it could even, or was, 10 when it happened or something even, could even begin to understand. Right? And I think that people like me that lived through that era of American geopolitics and shit oftentimes try our damnedest to explain what it was like in America at that time, but I think we all fall short. It was absolutely terrifying and strange, and it changed the psychology of this nation. And it changed the trajectory of this country forever and for always, and in a lot of directions that I consider to be really, really bad. It hyperinflated the surveillance state. It, precipitated the greatest loss of privacy rights that we've ever fucking seen. I was scared they were going to draft me. I mean, yeah, I was too. There were talks of a draft going around, and I was draft age, man. I was 21. I was that could have easily been drafted. So one of those things, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that in that context, you would poo-poo my experience with that. I think you would probably listen and go like, well, what was it like before? Like not like you have to listen to every word that I'm saying, but if that's the talk, I feel like somebody that was alive and an adult and aware and politically active and actively watching and consuming world news, Yeah, the 2008 stock market crash, the housing market crash, the bank crash. I mean, just a global economic crash was another one of those kind of turning points. You're absolutely right. It really was the last gasp of the middle class, the last gasp of people having an entryway into owning their home. It was like a fucking bomb went off. It was crazy. I feel like January 6th was worse, honestly. I mean, Carmelo, no. January 6th was not anywhere near as traumatic as 2008 was. Millions of people lost their homes in 2008. Millions. You can't even really compare something like that to January 6th, bro. January 6th was weird and crazy and unprecedented. I'm not trying to downplay it, but it wasn't some kind of giant societal shifting event or whatever. Oh, you're joking? Okay. All right, Carmelo. I didn't want to go too hard at you because I've known you a long time. But yeah, okay. By the way, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but Carmelo Anthony was the GOAT, dude. Just so you know. That's what Kamala was saying. Oh, okay. Yeah. Ugh. I was a clump of cells. My mom said she was driving and she said she drove for another hour out of city limits and climbed into the basement crying because she thought that they were going to aim. Yeah, oh, yeah. Aim for Seattle in your case. Yeah. LA was a fucking basket case because there were these conflicting reports of airliners losing contact out of LAX and shit. Like LA thought it was going to get hit. They started to evacuate downtown LA, which I don't even know if you understand what that means. Like if you've never been to LA, you wouldn't even have a concept of it. That is fucking insane. This recent October 7th stuff makes you think of the aftermath of 9/11. Absolutely. The kind of like anger-based politics that are coming out of Israel right now, totally exactly what was coming out of America at that time. They called this their 9/11. I mean, you know, it's definitely fucking crazy. Like, let's not downplay it. Like, a gang of people ran up into their fucking country and just started abducting and killing people and raping people and like kidnapping people and shit with guns and knives and shit. It was fucked. Like, if something like that happened on American soil, dude, the whole nation would be in a fucking frenzy. Like, it's totally understandable from a human perspective, the anger that's coming out of Israel and Zionists in general. Like, I can't claim to fucking know for sure, but you were sent home from school in kindergarten. Yeah. I was called and told not to come into work for probably the only time in my life. I don't think any other time have I ever gotten a call from a job and had them be like, "Hey, you know what? We're closing down the whole store for the day. Stay home." Dude, I have a crazy memory. I was talking with Amelia about this the other day because I think it came up, or we were having a conversation. Maybe it was like this one. I can't remember exactly what about, but I was in, I believe it was first grade when the Challenger space shuttle blew up in midair. Pretty much every school child in the nation was watching that live, you know, and there's a whole generation of us. I was one of them. And that shit was fucking crazy. They sent us all home from school. There was crying and teachers losing it, and that shit was fucking weird. That was a crazy thing to live through. You know, it's one of those things. I was watching this, to underscore this argument, I was watching this this show called I've Got a Secret. It's from the 50s. And they used to bring a dude on, and they had a panel of celebrity guests that would question this person to try and figure out what it was they had done, who they were. Everybody that came in had a big secret. And they brought this old dude in the 50s. Ancient. Guy could barely hear, could barely walk. He was over 100 years old. Or maybe not. Maybe he was in his late 90s. But his big secret was that he witnessed Abraham Lincoln get shot at the Ford Theater. He was 5 years old. And I was watching that and listening to that and just marveling at how I could see and hear the voice of somebody who was there on that day. And it just kind of underscores, what I'm talking about. Like, American politics exist on a continuum, and I've been politically active for a significant chunk of that continuum. And I've learned a lot about how the country works, and I've learned a lot about how political parties work and how they operate. I've learned a lot about how the systems of government are used and how they interface with one another. Like, I'm not claiming to be some expert, but I have broad experience in this. I've followed campaigns since my early 20s. I canvassed. So so crazy, a recording of someone who witnessed Lincoln's assassination. I know. And he was 5, and he, like, in the 50s was ancient. You know what I mean? So it's just like, whoa. Just the ocean of time that this dude has experienced. And I gotta be honest with you, if I were to sit down and talk to this guy about just general shit, I really wouldn't care much about his politics. I wouldn't care much about, you know what I mean? Like, how much I disagree with him politically. I think that there is, kind of like a wisdom that comes with experience that should be listened to. I'm a huge advocate of history. If anything, I think I would have made a reasonably decent historian. I feel like you need to know what has happened in order to prepare for what's to come. And I feel like that level of analysis is sorely lacking in a lot of young leftists in the circle that I operate in. Remembering something from when you were 5, nah, he capping. Well, he admits the only thing he remembers about it is that he thought a man had hurt himself when he fell out of the balcony because John Wilkes Booth shot the president and then jumped from the second floor balcony to the stage. And that's all he remembers, is that he thought that a man fell out of the balcony and hurt himself, which he did. John Wilkes Booth broke his leg in the fall. So that was what he remembered. I believe that. I have discovered the body of John Wilkes Booth. Good old clutch. Yeah, I've got some pretty fucking stark and vivid memories from around that age. 5 years old, 6 years old, that's usually when human memory really starts to, I mean, you can have vague memories from before then, but that's really when human memory starts to take shape. You know, your language centers are all intact, and so you can remember conversations and that sort of thing. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that somebody would remember something crazy like that, especially given how, you know, significant that it was and all that. My mom got to see MLK in person, hate the hell out of her opinions on LGBT people, but I still love listening to those stories. I mean, those stories are super important now because that era, the civil rights era and the Vietnam War era, are some of the most stark and modern examples of people using the kind of power that I want them to exercise en masse to affect massive change. It's the entire civil rights era is a standing refutation to this idea that was put forward in the Vosh conversation that politicians don't listen to the electorate. I mean, you know, that generation of people ended the Vietnam War and got the fucking civil rights bill passed that, you know, has been a basis at the very least for protecting black people and brown people and migrant people from direct fucking extrajudicial justice and shit. It's not an insignificant feat. No. See, Jason, you're kind of wrong, bro. Civil rights era is a stark contrast to today's racial politics about reparations and privilege. Those two topics were heavily discussed during the civil rights era. Reparations was heavily discussed, and it was part of the platform. And privilege may not have been called the same thing, but the idea of drawing the stark contrast between what a white person experiences and what a black person experiences walking down the same street was not absent from the civil rights movement. So you're just wrong. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to put it, bro. You wrong. But once again, that's to be expected. Like somebody from your generation thinking they know what the civil rights era was and wasn't about and just kind of confidently being wrong about it is kind of what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? I don't think that there's a great impetus today to study history or to revere history. In fact, I know that the powers that be would rather things be kind of how they are and that we just relegate history to history and we don't bother with it anymore. They don't want you learning what the game is. They don't want you to learn the rules of how it's played. They don't want you to see historical example after historical example after historical example after historical example of this power being used against you and your will being subverted. They don't want you to see that. They don't want you to pay attention to that shit. You know, after having gone back and watched the Vosh conversation, one of the things that I wish that I'd brought up to him was he'd made a statement at some point that, like, you know, all these workers' rights and the 40-hour work week and the 5-day work week, weekend, all of this stuff. You know, it wasn't some big giant explosion of activism that happened. It was people just doing their jobs and doing what they had to do, and the cops would come and they break up your union. You suck it up, and it's just like, yeah, that's not the history of labor in the United States. The history of labor in the United States was literal anarchist activism. You know what I mean? Like literally taking to the streets and beating the fuck out of the cops in big fights, arming yourself to the teeth and taking over the streets, taking over your factory and refusing to come out. I mean, that's the history of the American labor movement. It wasn't sitting around on your hands and voting for Democrats, you know, and that's how we got all of these things that, you know, we leftists cherish so much. They will tell a tale of history, a selected moment in a selected context, but only in such a way to reinforce the false story which they want you to believe. Yes. Yeah, I mean, watch the documentary Harlan County, USA, and tell me that those people were just participating in the average fucking way. It's just, you know, and I just don't see the will for that materializing, you know, and I think it's past time. It's well past time. I listened to A People's History of the U.S. and I was shocked by the sheer volume of violence that had to be endured to achieve better labor conditions. Yeah. And it really puts into perspective what a shame it is that we've given it all back. You know, there's no such thing as a weekend for most people anymore. There's no such thing as a 40-hour work week for most people anymore. There's no such thing as vacation time for most people anymore. We've given it all back. Child labor, back. Company town, back. All that blood shed on the line, and we've given it all back. And we're heading into an electoral cycle where we will once again vote for the people that did it. You know, I don't know what else to say other than that. You know, that's my politics. That's where I situate myself. I don't know about you. Yeah. In a lot of ways, things are worse. You know, by a lot of metrics, things are worse today for workers than they were during the Gilded Age when the American labor movement happened. So just post Civil War in our big cities, New York, Chicago, there were these massive, massive labor unions kind of overseen in many ways by Karl Marx. You know, the International Workers Union. And so these were Americans and immigrant political activists, anarchists and socialists all taking to the streets and literally shedding their blood in order to secure rights for workers. And if you compare dollar to dollar, we are worse off than they were. we have a smaller piece of the pie overall, as it were, adjusting, of course, for inflation, than they ever had. There are fewer owners that own more than they were dealing with. There's a greater gap in the top income and the bottom income, and a less favorable distribution of that income amongst the population as a whole. So, we've kind of surpassed the point where our ancestors decided, like, nope, you know what, we're not fucking slaves. And we're still kind of dithering about what to do. You consider yourself a gig worker? No. To me, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but to me, a gig worker is somebody who contracts with a company. I own my company. So I'd consider myself a business owner or whatever the fuck. But I do think that a lot of gig work is done on the internet for sure. But yeah, I'm co-equal owner of a company. Merchant class or consumer class? Oh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe got my foot in both. Like, I think the this kind of like online work straddles that pretty fucking heavily. Tough, right? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I actually see my granddad's old uniform and medals. They truly treated fighting labor as a war. Yes. Yeah, it was no joke. I mean, I know I've talked about the book before, but you really should read Death in the Haymarket. It is, in my opinion, the best documentation of the American labor movement in the Gilded Age, what led up to it, the political figures that tried to stymie it. By the way, Democrats and Republicans both. That was one of the first hard lessons that this kind of burgeoning labor movement in America learned, was not to trust politicians. They had several high-ranking politicians jump in and campaign on helping them, and then stab them in the back before they realized that we're just going to have to do this outside of that system. We're going to have to do it for ourselves. And they did it. A lot of them died. A lot of them were maimed. A lot of them were unrightfully imprisoned. Crazy thing is, well, my Pinkerton NDA granddad certainly killed strikers. No arms of the government ever tried to bring them to justice. Yeah, no. That's because it was the government that was contracting the Pinkertons. The Pinkertons were basically just a mercenary company for rich people and the government to use at times when official involvement was would have been disadvantageous. And so, yeah, they were a group of hired hitmen, basically. What's the book called? I couldn't understand. Death in the Haymarket. Haymarket, Haymarket. Like all one word. Death in the Haymarket is the name of the book. So wait a minute. They didn't just vote for a lesser evil once in 4 years? No. In fact, they gained a significant chunk of ground in 4 years in establishing workers' rights in this country. 4 years was a long time back then. It's still a long time now. It's just that we've been conditioned to think in these 4-year blocks of time, and everything is the build up to the next election cycle and shit. We don't, you know. Well, the only irony is that all of his ill-gotten gains were ultimately squandered. He died in the poverty he left my dad and eventually myself in. Well, you know, whatever. I mean, he was a victim of the same kind of fucking system, even as an arm of it. Any other book suggestions? I want to start reading stuff. Yeah, I mean, if you're wanting to read some political books, we talk a lot about, and I know I reference a lot, A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. If you want some more ancient history that'll make you like scratch your head with how similar it is to what's going on today, there's a great history of the Roman Republic called SPQR by a historian named Mary Beard. One of my favorite historical books for sure. The history of Rome is just fascinating. If you want something a little more fiction, I would say read The Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu. Just a great book, a great trilogy of books, honestly. Just alien kind of sci-fi stuff. Dune, yeah, the Dune books. You know, I've talked about my recommended Dune. If you're not super into Dune and you just want to try it out, I would recommend reading the first novel and then skipping to Children of Dune and then doing God Emperor. That's like the way that I would do it. But, you know, it's up to you. What's a book that's good and depressing? Ooh, I know a good one for you, actually. 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. That is a beautiful, wonderful, depressing read. Yeah, Ishmael. You know, I thanks for reminding me. I always try and throw it in when people ask me for books. And that's a quick read too. Ishmael, you can read that in a night, you know. It's not a super long read, and it's great. Tell me, young Paul, have the lambs stopped their screaming? You see a lot, Doctor. Perhaps you could share some of that insight with us on this questionnaire, sir. Oh, no, 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 no. You're doing so well, Clarice. You had shown courtesy and been receptive to courtesy. You'd revealed a bit about yourself with the embarrassing truth about multiple MIGs. And now this ham-fisted transition into your questionnaire. It won't do. MIGs, multiple MIGs in the next cell. He hissed something at you as you walked by. What was it? He said, I can smell your cunt. Ah. I myself cannot. Dude, that's one of the best fucking performances in history, dude. That is one of the best. I do know that movie by heart. Well, not maybe not every scene, but I know the main scenes of that movie by heart. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. It really is. You use Evian skin cream, and sometimes you wear L'air de Temps, but not today. Oh, yeah. Was she the great big fat person? Yeah, she was big. Yes, sir. I know, dude. Hannibal Lecter is only in 16 minutes of that movie, and he's easily the most memorable thing about it. I mean, that is a fucking masterclass of a fucking performance. Did you breastfeed? Excuse me? Your daughter, Catherine, did you breastfeed her? Yes, I did. Toughened your nipples, didn't it? Sergeant, take this thing back to Baltimore. Oh, and Governor, love your suit. Fucking, dude, just fucking gangster, dude. I love it. They say when a man loses his leg, he can still feel it tickling. Tell me, Senator, when your little Catherine's on the slab, where will it tickle you? Oh, woo. I love it. Every time I see that Buffalo Bill actor in something, yeah, dude, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's a pretty successful character actor, but that's definitely his most memorable performance, in my opinion. Those are nice drawings, Doctor. Yes. That is the Duomo scene for the Belvedere. Memory, you see, Agent Starling, is what I have instead of a view. I'll never quite understand Jonathan Demme's brilliant intuition that Hopkins was perfect for the Lecter role, based on his prior performance as Sir Frederick Treves in The Elephant Man. I mean, yeah, sometimes people just know. I think it's probably because Hopkins has a very, I don't want to say like outdated, but a very old affectation in acting where a lot more of the stage was still in acting. You have to understand, like when you're doing a show on a stage in front of a big audience of people, you have to be big and kind of over the top with your facial expressions and your body movements and stuff. You have to know how to strike an overbearing presence so that it hits that entire audience, you know, from quite a distance sometimes. And a lot of that theatricality is in those early kind of movies that you see, especially the earlier talkies. And Anthony Hopkins is a student of theater. And so that's, 100% probably what Jonathan Demme picked up on. It's like Rick Rubin. Some people just have the sixth sense for talent. I know, dude. That guy, he's so cool. What a cool life, dude. He just lives by the ocean and just works with artists whenever they want. You know what I mean? Like, just gets like the greatest artists in the world to come in and sit with him and make fucking really great music. Dude, you guys made me think of something. Your argument about hot Cheetos and Takis. Yeah. The rich kids, dude. I probably can't get away with showing this, honestly. Not much of it, but I'll show you guys, dude.
Yo, I go by the name of Dane Jones. I'm with my crew, and we gonna show y'all what we be snacking on. You dig? Okay. Hot Cheetos and Takis. Hot Cheetos and Takis. I can't get enough of these hot Cheetos and Takis.
Yeah, buddy. This is how, when this video came out, this video is 10 years old. And when this video came out, this is when I knew that the human race was ultimately doomed. And that certainly the next generation of children was doomed. I was just like, yep, this is it. This is it, dude. This is the harbinger.
Got my fingers stained red, and I cannot get them on me. You can catch me in my coat, eating hot Cheetos and Takis. Pop, snack.
Bruh. Hot fries? Hell no. Get your hot fries bullshit out of here. Hot fries are stankin' ass bad, dude. Hot Cheetos are the GOAT. Hot fries. Get it out of here. This ain't it, cud. I didn't say it was. I didn't say it was, bro. Rapping about what really matters, yeah. The extra hot Cheetos are delicious. They don't need it. They don't need the extra hot. Kids Bop in the hood. Yeah. Yeah. Hood Kids Bop. Dude. Oh my God, dude. That Kids Bop shit. I didn't even know that stuff existed until I was working at the school district. And I had to go into a classroom. I think it was like a second or third grade classroom to fix their little bank of computers. And the teacher was like, I guess they were having like little cool down or whatever after a test. And I don't know what they were doing. She was playing Kids Bop and they were dancing around. And I was like, I was listening to it. I was like, wait a minute. Is that like Stone Temple Pilots that I'm hearing, but kids singing it? Like, yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Paul, why did you share that? I don't know. That's because I thought about it. Did it bother you that I shared that? What would you like me to talk about? What grade were these kids in? Like I said, I think it was like a second or third grade classroom. So, yeah. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't know what band it was that I heard, but I was just like, that's not. Politics and food, Paul's two things. Yeah. The two things I care most about: politics and food. And you've never heard Kids Bop and you like it that way? Hmm. 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 This is Kids Bop.
First things first, I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. No, the way that things have been. No, second thing second, don't you?
Imagine Dragons, dude. As if Imagine Dragons couldn't get worse. You know, this makes me remember a TJ quote. Maybe my favorite TJ quote. I mean, it's tough to pick. TJ's a quotable guy. But TJ said, "There's nothing more wretched in the world than the sound of a child singing." I can't even get through it without laughing. That's got to be one of my favorite things that a human being has ever said right there. Dude. TJ was so right.
Tell me what you think that I could be. I'm the one at the sail. I'm the master of my CEO.
I mean, they just take pop songs that are popular and they have like a choir of tweens and toddlers sing it, basically. Like that's Kids Bop for you. It's wretched. It really is. Or it really is pretty fucking wretched. But that's, just now you know. Now you can't say you've never seen it. Ban children. I know. I'm so mad that this video has an actual budget. Oh, dude, moms buy this shit. Like moms will buy this stuff and play it in the car on road trips and shit. Like this shit is popular. All right, you guys might have gotten a look, and don't cheat. How many views do you think that video that we were just watching has? The Imagine Dragons cover, Believer. Just take a guess. How many views do you think that's got? Most of you are way under. As of today, the video has 211 million views. 7K. Good guess, bro. 211 million views.
The master of my CEO. I was broken from a young age, taking my soul into the masses, writing my poems for the few that took me, shook me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message.
I love that I can just bring it up at any time and torture you guys with it. That's my favorite thing about Kids Bop existing. Illuminati Kids Bop. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Can you imagine that, like, the aliens are able to intercept one little chunk of a transmission on the internet, and this is the video that somebody was watching? And they were like, why are there juveniles dressed in such costumes? And what is this cacophony coming from their vocal units? Woke bop. Whatever. It's kid stuff. It's supposed to be bland and uncontroversial. Trust me, those kids are going to have plenty of time to worry themselves into a fucking fit over the controversies in the world when they grow up. Let them have their little fucking fantasy, okay? Let them be kids for fucking, 18 years. Before you throw the unshakable yoke of fucking modernity upon them, please. It's woke because there are girls and skin colors. Oh, I love how that's happened, dude. I love how the woke criticism has finally, because like what I find with these kinds of like, and let's make no bones about it, a lot of the opposition to wokeness is just racism. It's just people like, exercising a kind of internal idea about what they have, an idea that they have about the place of women and queer people and people of color in society, and they don't like to see it being subverted. And so now woke just means you put a black person in your movie. Like, it's gotten to the level of absurdity where something has gone woke just because they put a black person in a movie, It's like, all right, whatever. I mean, these buzzwords are not new to the right wing in order to mask just saying what they want to say. Like, they want to say that blacks don't deserve the same kind of societal advantages that the whites do. And they ought to be over-policed and shipped back to where they come from. That's what they want to say. They can't say that because they know it's reprehensible deep down at the core of them. But instead of having a struggle with that and maybe overcoming those kind of nasty feelings, they find something else. So one of the big ones used to be, back when I was like a teenager, affirmative action. You know what? I love black people, but I ain't for this affirmative action. And if you asked any of them, like, what is affirmative action? They would have been like, well, it's this idea that black person's better than white person. It's like, okay, so you don't know. So you don't know what it is. So there's always this stuff. I mean, just being gay was one of them. I mean, this idea that it was just now that the Republicans are getting together to oppress gay people is fucking absurd. They were fucking the gay panic has been ongoing pretty much my entire fucking life, and it mutates into different fucking aspects of society that are popular. But make no bones about it, none of this is new. None of this rhetoric that you're hearing is new. The only thing that unfortunately is new is these pieces of legislation that are written that often affect one or two people in an entire state. You know what I mean? Like these kind of like trans sports bills in states where there's one or maybe two trans athletes even alive and competing. You know what I mean? These drag bans or whatever, as if drag is the same thing as being trans. Hint, it isn't. Being trans is not cross-dressing. So anyway, you know, like, it just goes to show you. The boogeyman's name has to change because people get sick of hearing it. But when woke is over, it'll be something else. They'll have another reason why you just being openly gay is destroying the lives and minds of children. I mean, really, back in my childhood in the 80s, it was Satan, the satanic panic. So it was, this is Satanism. And that's starting to kind of come back with these Trumpists and shit. Luciferian Satan cult or whatever the fuck. So that was the big moral panic when I was younger, you know, in my fucking before double-digit years. It was, everything was the devil. And there's a bunch of devil worshipers running around killing everybody, kidnapping kids, forcing them to be in a cult, and they play these magic cards, and it gets their brain ripe for the demon to infest it, and then they get, you know what I mean? Like that type of shit. But it was used to oppress the same people. It was counterculture that was satanic. And so it was used to oppress black people, brown people, gay, lesbian, trans people. So this whole anti-woke thing has just been like watching an old rerun for me, you know? Like Carlin said, if we outlaw religion, these problems would go away in 2 to 3 generations. I don't know if I agree with Carlin on that, but I do think that having more restrictions on religion, particularly just making them non-tax exempt, I think would solve a lot of the problems. They would be a less attractive grift for people if the income of the church had to be taxed. And yeah, I think that would significantly cut down the amount of grifters doing it. Jason, you're gonna have to get out of this fucking crazy incel phase you're in, dude, because it's really super fucking cringe. I know where you're from. You grew up around people of color, dude. Don't act like you live in some kind of fucking white enclave. All right, bro. Like, I know exactly where you live. I know the town you grew up in. And it's a multicultural fucking town in a multicultural area. Like, what do you mean it's not your culture? You grew up around a gang of Asian people, a gang of fucking black people, a gang of white people. Like, the area you grew up in is heavily multicultural. So what is this culture you speak of? Are you talking about the Viking culture? So has your family preserved the traditions of the ancient Vikings? Are you talking about like carving a walrus tusk into a dagger? What culture are you talking about, bro? Your culture is American culture, and America is a fucking multicultural country. That's the point. I thought he was trolling or poing. I mean, it's hard to fucking tell the difference. I mean, most cities in the United States are heavily multicultural. Talking about the culture of self-respect, having a job and not breaking the law and fighting police. What makes you think that most black people are out there doing those things? Do you think that most black people aren't just working their jobs and trying to get by and not breaking the law? Do you think that most black people are out like looting a Versace store right now or something? Like what, like where do you get this idea that most black people are running around in the streets stealing and shit? This is a troll. I know. It's starting to smell like one, but I know Jason gets these fucking wild, edgy ideas in his fucking head. It's certainly the topic of rap music. It's a topic in rap music, yeah. Which is why you don't participate. What kind of music do you participate in? Don't say rock and roll. Don't say you listen to any kind of rock and roll. Because there's a culture of violence and debauchery in rock and roll. Disrespect for the cops. So what is it that you listen to? What kind of music do you think comports with your culture? Yeah, you better not say any kind of fucking rock band, bro. Okay, yeah, you listen to nothing but classical music. Gotcha. He listens to bluegrass, yeah. He would have said a rock band if you didn't say that. I know. Well, that because I know Jason. So Jason likes all of his dad's rock music and shit. So, oops. I thought your culture was like a law-abiding culture, though. I'm on a highway to hell. Paul was cooler on DP. Cool. You were cooler back in the DP days, too. You're over here spamming up a fucking channel, dude. Is this fucking 2011 again? Have we gone back in time? Like, are you gonna make me do it? Are you gonna make me like go over and turn on slow mode? Is that the all right. You win, bro. You done trolled me into it. I'm gonna go turn on slow mode so that you know this is not a fucking thing. Unreal. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Can you just ban him? Yeah, but he's got 1 million fucking accounts. This is what he does. This is what he does for fun, dude. This is entertainment. This is what it looks like. to be this guy. Goat versus fish. If I had only one wish. Guys, ever considered in order to show us his second belly, Boogie would have had to intentionally shave that blubbery mound of his? Oh my God, bro. You're right. I didn't even fucking think of that, dude. You are so fucking right. Oh my God. Jesus H. Christ. You should invite Boogie on the FF. I don't know if I want to talk to Boogie, dude. I honestly don't. I kind of don't want to like have anything to do with Boogie. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fine covering him as from a distance, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying we won't, but men versus food. It wouldn't be boring, that's for sure. Probably right about that. You're probably correct about that. You should have on a far right wing duo. Like who? Don't say that Adam and Sitch guy. Or dudes, because I don't think I can fucking handle that. Like, I genuinely don't think that would be for me. The Lotus Eaters? Who's that? Is that like an ancient cult of Babylonian fucking somethings? The Lotus Eaters? Like, who would that be? Oh, Sargon? Oh my God. This fucking this troll spamming up the chat is a Sargon fanboy, dude. Oh my God. Imagine. I actually kind of feel bad for the kid now. I didn't. The Lotus Eaters, bro. Yeah. Yeah. Oh shit, dude. Whatever you say, homie. Paul Gon of Babylon. Yeah. Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. Hake from JLP show was on debating Jeff Holiday recently. Who and who? Paul, you definitely could play Enkidu in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Oh yeah, I'm like the big giant forest monster that comes out and wants to fight Gilgamesh, and then they fight each other to a stalemate, and they become best friends. And then I die, and it ruins Gilgamesh's life, and he goes on a fruitless quest, neglecting his kingdom to try and find immortality. Good old Enkidu, dude. Excuse me. Pardon me. Like, if you want me to answer your question, just ask once. Like, there's not that many people participating in here, bro. Just ask once and I'll answer your question. But you don't gotta spam it. Just ask one thing. Like, if you actually want me to talk about it. And go for it. You could see TJ being Gilgamesh from Final Fantasy. Yeah. All right. You've done nothing but shadow ban my accounts. How come you claim to support science, but your atheist side doesn't know what a woman is anymore? Okay. So let's see. Let's answer this in two parts. Number one, I don't know how to shadow ban anybody. I've banned you because you're spamming. But you've got 50 fucking thousand accounts, so it doesn't really matter, right? But so I don't shadow ban anybody. Like, everybody can see when I ban you. And how come you you claim to support science, but your atheist side doesn't know what a woman is anymore? That I think woman is a loose definition because of science. Because you see different types of gender expression, even in the human animal, you see it. Like, you don't have to go outside of humanity for broad historical examples of differing gender norms than the ones that we're currently living in. So I guess that would answer your question. So what else you got, buddy? Like, you got the attention you want. Know what you want with it. Hey, Paul, is the guy who asked about my wife staying out till 6 a.m. a few weeks ago on stream. Turns out she wants a divorce. Devastated. Any advice going forward? I mean, not really. It has to hurt for it to heal. That's Urgel, by the way, from never-ending story. It's going to suck for a while. You're going to be real depressed, but then you're going to absolutely and utterly fucking be glad. You're going to look back on the whole fucking thing and you'll be glad. You'll realize that it was in a bad place for a while and that it's probably better for you to get out of it, and you'll move on, dude. Yeah, I mean, that's usually the way it is. You know, that's usually the way it is in a dysfunctional marriage or whatever. But it sucks. I'm sorry that it has to hurt. I'm sorry that you've got a lot of fucking depression and a lot of soul searching to do, but I'm telling you, at the other end of it, you're going to be better off. Being in a real broken relationship is super painful, man. It's way more painful than being single, trust me. Yeah, no worries, Zach. Just take care of yourself. You know, you ain't got to be fucking Johnny on the spot. Just remember to jump in the shower every once in a while. Remember to go out, get a little sunshine on your shoulders, you know, etc. Hippie. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely like this idea that floats around that that's like a negative in my world. Like maybe it is in yours, but the hippies were a fucking transformative generation. It was the hippies that marched in the fucking civil rights crusade. It was the hippies that forced the government to come to terms with what it was fucking doing in Vietnam. It sucked when my parents got a divorce, but I have nightmares to this day of them getting back together. Yeah. Well, you think the best way to get over someone is to get under someone? Some people say that a new partner helps you over the last one, but I'm not sure. No. I think that that is up to you. I think that sometimes maybe it's better to not go directly into it. Although I tend to. But I think that, you know, what's right for you varies from person to person. Do you think the new left of the 60s and 70s is where modern liberal identity politics reductionism originated? I mean, it probably, yes. Anywho, I think I'm done. I'm out of steam. See you later.